Save the bees. Save the bees for the sake of pollination, plant growth, the food chain, and biodiversity. Bees literally make the world habitable for both humans and insects. Some of us, if not more, I am sure, have heard the saying, save the bees. It is always just save the bees for pollination, but there is way more to it than that. If it weren't for bees, a lot of living organisms will be facing extinction. Honeybees contribute to nearly $20 billion to the value of U.S. crop production, says ABFnet.org. Bees contribute to more than half of the food we eat today, and without them, all of that can be gone. Bees pollinate our fruits, vegetables, flowers, and trees. Moving from different assortments of flowers and plants, bees spread pollen that's collected from every plant they visited. The plant gets collected from flower to flower, and as so, the pollen falls off the bee's little body like snow. Now that I've talked about how bees contribute to pollination, let's talk about how bees contribute to plant growth. Plants need pollen to be big, bright, and beautiful. Not only do bees help with the growth and production of crops, they also help with the growth of wild plants. Them native flowers that grow in your yard, yeah, you can say bye-bye to them. If you still don't see the importance of bees. If it weren't for the bees, those flowers wouldn't survive today. According to Hannah Vickers, a Woodland Trust content editor, it would cost farmers a minimum of $1.8 billion to manually pollinate our crops. Just like humans, plants need to breed also. With the help of bees, male plants' pollen gets transferred to the females, and that's how plants cross-pollinate to breed. Now that I've talked about how bees pollinate and contribute to plant growth, let's talk about how bees are a part of the food chain. Most of us don't believe that bees are a part of the food chain, but they in fact are. Bees pollinate clover and alfalfa, which feed livestock and other small animals. They also create honey that us humans also love. But with that all being said, they also have predators they feed also. The most common predators faced by bees are skunks, bears, and hive beetles, says Melissa Mayer on Sciencing.com. Now that I've talked about 3 important roles that bees play in, let's talk about how they play a role in biodiversity. The ecosystem depends on bees' magnificent ways of pollination, as well do small animals and insects that eat the bees. Bees are so biodiverse that anything from a plant to a human depends on them in some way. I mean, come on, what would we do without bees? If bees weren't here, our plants and animals who depend on them, and the humans who depend on both plants and animals who eat the plants, how would the world be? I have informed you of 4 aspects that bees have a big role in: pollination, plant growth, the food chain, and biodiversity. The reason bees are so important to the earth is because almost everything alive depends on them. Bees pollinate about 80% of our crops, trees, and plants, according to UAEX.edu. If it weren't for the bees, the world would be deprived from everything that makes it green. Save the bees for the sake of pollination, plant growth, the food chain, and biodiversity.